from 1 Corinthians 9:24 to 27. And it's really important because when I look at Paul, as JD mentioned, as I look at Paul, I see a guy that likes athletics. I see a guy that's always using the athletic analogies to bring his point, to present his point. And so, if you would, I would like for you to listen. And I'm going to relate my life to this particular text, and you will get it. 1 Corinthians 9, and definitely Paul is talking about the games. The Isthmus Games were before the Olympic Games in Corinth and in Rome. And so Paul is talking about them, and he's talking about runners running a race and how much they train. And when you look at that word run, it also means stadium and shows you the event that the venue they were in. And then also if you look at the venue, then you look at the athletes and how they presented themselves and gave themselves to that particular sport. And Paul is saying, listen, I look at my life like a runner that looks at a race. And Paul looks at it that this race that he has, that God has given him, it's his destiny to run this race and to run this race with everything that he has, to give himself to it. And so let me read a couple of the verses here to you. It says, do you not know that those who run in a race all run, but one receives the prize? Run in such a way that you may obtain it. Let me stop there and just quickly allude to the word obtain from the Greek word katalambano, and kata means actually to hurl something down. A lambano it means to seize, to attack, to grip. A good word picture is that you found why you exist and you're going for it. This is why I live. The wrestler running that race is trying to get across that finish line because this is why he lives. I mean, they would go on, the fame they would get, and they would be heroes, and then some people would even call them gods. And that's how the community looked at these athletes. But what a word. There's just a little bit of wrestling in there. To obtain, to seize, to grab it. And you're not going to let it go. You're not going to let anyone take this away from you. Pretty awesome. That's the attitude. That's the attitude in which they were running. That finish line. You got to look at the finish line because that's where we're going. That's the goal. That's the aim. So run in a way that you might obtain it. And then in verse 25, and it says, everyone who competes for the prize is temperate in all things. Now, he says, they do it to obtain a perishable crown, but we for an imperishable crown. Therefore I run, thus not with uncertainty, thus I fight, not as one who beats the air, but I discipline my body and bring it under subjection, lest when I have preached to others, I myself should become disqualified. The phrase I want to look at here this morning is going from the perishable to the imperishable. Going from the perishable to the imperishable. And that's what Paul's saying. These guys are giving their life, everything they have, they're giving it to get the wreath, to get the medal, if you will, to get the crown at the end. And Paul is saying they do it for a perishable crown. But we that are spirituals, we that have that relationship with Christ, we that have become a part of Christ's team, we do it for an imperishable crown. I don't know if you know it, but there's like 5 crowns that will be given out, that Christ will give out. And man, I can relate to a crown. I can relate to a trophy. Guys are competing here today for that gold medal, that #1 medal. They want it around their neck. That's what they're going for. How many of you guys can relate to that? Yeah, I know you can relate to this message of Paul saying, give your best. Do your best when you run. Do your best when you compete. And so I want to share with you just quickly how this relates to me and how I look at that. From the perishable to the imperishable. When I look at athletics and when I used to wrestle, these 3 things I needed. I'm just going to use these 3 because there's many, but 3 things that stick out to me that I use, Tom, to pursue this perishable crown, this perishable medal. 3 things. One, I would say that you got to have a strategy. No strategy, no victory. Right? First with the head, strategy, then with the heart. When both men are exhausted and fatigued, then it comes from here. So 3 things. Need a strategy. I love what Helen Keller said. Helen Keller said this, with all of her struggles, right, in her life. She said, somebody said, Helen, what could be worse than being born blind? And she paused, and with great profundity, Helen said, to have sight, but no vision. To have sight, but no vision. You see, there's a lot of people seeing, but they're just not going anywhere. If you're going to be an athlete, you need to have a vision. I always say, a biblical principle, speak the end of a thing at the beginning, then back up off of that and develop a strategy that will take you there. Speak the end at the beginning. Back off of that and develop a strategy that will take you there. 3 things. Number 1, I needed a strong body because I had to compete. So I had to have my muscles ready. Had to train until they were ready to burst. I mean, you guys been there. They're swollen, but yet the coach is saying, do another rep. Get it up. Come on. Legs shaking. But you still push. You know why? You need this body for the journey to get the medal. So you had to just stress your body out until it was almost ready to break, but you needed it. And so in a tough match against a great competitor, you were able to hold on to that leg, even though they were swollen. And man, if your arms are shaking, you can hold on, pull in, and get that takedown for the win. Strong body. Say that with me. Strong body.
Strong body.
Wake up now. Come on, say it again. Strong body.
Strong body.
And next you needed a strong mind. Man, that's even more important, right? A lot of winning, right, is from here up. So you needed a strong mind. You had to train your mind as well as your body. You see, you'll mess up if you only train your body. You ever see those big guys in the tournament? I mean, biceps out to here, traps to here. You go, did you win? No, but I look good. Wrong competition. We're trying to get the medal. Anyways, so you need a strong mind. A strong mind. And so you have to train it. You have to believe what you're saying. You have to put a picture of yourself with your hands raised. You got that up yet? Yeah, you got to get that picture up. So you see yourself winning. And you know why you need a strong mind? And I know you will identify with this. You need a strong mind because listen carefully. You don't invite bad thoughts. They just come. He's like, yeah, right? Like I'm going to wrestle Kenny Monday in the championship. He's pinned me in the Big 8. I'm perambulating to the arena. I'm cruising to the arena to wrestle him. And guess what thought comes to my mind? Kenny Monday pinned you. I'm like, who wants to hear that thought at that time? You almost got to check yourself. Where'd that come from? No, but look, what a thought. 15,000 people, you're walking to the platform. Kenny Monday pinned you last time. So, but I trained my mind. I trained my mind enough, JD, that as I perambulated to the arena, to the platform, I would find a room in my mind. And in that room, when I walked in, there was a table, a pen, a piece of paper, a fireplace. And then I would go and I'd sit down at the table, write on the sheet of paper, Kenny Monday, pin you last time. Crumble it up, throw it into the fire, watch it turn to ash, roll out a new sheet that says, Nate, you win. I was able to change the focus. You've got to train your mind. You don't invite bad thoughts. They just come. Be ready. Be ready to deal. Then you have to have your heart ready. And again, I alluded to that already, that the heart has to be ready, because when both guys are tired and exhausted, you gotta, so it's with the heart. The heart says, I put in the time, I didn't skip practice. I put in the time, I didn't take a day off. I put in the time, I didn't throw in the towel on the run. So with all my heart, I know that I've given my best to give my best at this particular time, because I put everything in. I've been saying to the athletes in my practice something that Pat Riley says, and it's very good. Pat says there comes a moment that defines winning from losing. And he says the true warrior understands and seizes the moment so intensive, with an effort so intensive, so intuitive, that it could only be called one from the heart. How do you pull it out? Came out and I thought he was going to lose. He put it on his back and I thought he was done. One from the heart. So when I was pursuing this perishable crown, I had to have a strong body, strong mind, and a strong heart. Very important. You know, the only thing is that I found out you couldn't take a physical thing to fulfill a spiritual void. I mean, the trophy couldn't get deep enough, JD, to heal the wound, to heal the void in my life. Trophies, national championships, empty! Empty! No. Robbie Zacharias says it good. Listen to what Robbie says in his book, Can Man Live Without God? He says the real truth is that the sheer winning of accolades cannot deliver what we say it will. The world of personal glory moves from triumph to emptiness because it can never deliver the fulfillment of the spiritual man. It can never do it. Get that straight. You just have to go from another level to another level. It never delivers the fulfillment of the spiritual man. Listen to what Robert F. Kennedy said. Former President Robert F. Kennedy said, everybody basically has an empty hole inside of them that they try to fill with money, drugs, alcohol, power, and none of the material stuff works. You know, his family had a lot of money. President of the United never, ever works. Trophy, Super Bowl, #1, still can be lonely, still can be empty, still wondering why I live, why I exist. Listen to this great tennis star, Boris Becker. He said, I had won Wimbledon twice before. Once as the youngest player, I was rich. I had it all the material possessions I needed. It's the old song of the movie stars and pop stars who commit suicide. They have everything, and yet they are so unhappy. I had no inner peace. I was a puppet on strings. Empty. That was me. I forgot what biblical preacher, evangelist says. There's a void in man There's a void in man that cannot be filled by any created thing alone, but by God, but alone with Jesus, by God through Jesus Christ. The only way is God. He's saying, put this void in us that cannot be filled by anything but Jesus Christ. So there I was, messed up relationships. Like if you live and you got some messed up relationships, messed up friendships. National champion, messed up. I mean, I even think about Deion Sanders, Super Bowl champion, MVP, trying to take his own life. He has enough money in his account to go buy a Lamborghini with cash, sleeping in bed with 5 women, none of them his wife. Listen, it just didn't fill the void. So to pursue the perishable crown can be very empty. Not to mention that you could, if you die, you would leave this world without Christ. And so I found myself in 1985 in a revival. Trophies, pursuing the Olympics and pursuing other things, and empty. And this preacher was preaching, and he was burning the wood coal, or waxing eloquently, as you could say. And I mean, he was just right. You're like one of them old football coaches. Son, you're just not fast enough. Go over there. Just tell the truth. All right? And so he was preaching. He was saying things like this. And my dad was a pastor, so I knew, but I didn't know. You can hear, but not hear, right? You can see and not see. But this preacher was running it down, and I found myself in the church, the moral place, the good place. And so I was there, and he was preaching. He was saying things like this. You're hopelessly separated from God. This is what the Bible says. You're hopelessly separated from God. You are spiritually dead in your own sins. You are hostile to God. He was saying, I was like, well, I'm here. But you're hostile to God, the way you're living. You're blinded by Satan and held captive to do his will. Blinded by him, held captive to do his will. All of this when you're away from him. And then it says, powerless to overcome sin's hold in your life. It's trying to change your own self, trying to have some soul transformation, some soul personal transformation. It will never work. Right? God doesn't come to make bad men good men. God comes to make dead men alive. Amen. Big difference. Big difference, and you can tell as you get into this deep hole like I was getting in while sitting there. Powerless to overcome sin's hold in your life. Unable to understand the things of God. Well, I believe that God is some superficial high being up there. Come on. Wrong. Right? You got your own thought, right? You don't understand it, but you're blind. You're unable to, you can't understand the things of God. You're unable to please God or to walk in his way. Isn't that something?